Joseph Kennedy III eyes the 4th District congressional seat being vacated by U.S. Representative Barney Frank. Plus, author Thomas Frank says in his new book, Pity the Billionaire, the financial collapse of '08 was a boon to conservatives. And Jared Bowen's preview to Masterpiece's Downton Abbey, premiering this Sunday, now on Greater Boston. Good evening. The would-be contenders for the seat being vacated by longtime 4th District Congressman Barney Frank had been waiting in the wings. Waiting, that is, to learn whether Joseph Kennedy III is throwing his hat into the ring before throwing in theirs. Well, today they got the answer. Joe Kennedy III, one of twin sons of former Congressman Joe Kennedy II, is forming a Congressional Exploratory Committee. Adam Riley has more.
Joe Kennedy III is a young attorney. He's also political royalty, the son of former Congressman Joe Kennedy II and grandson of Robert Kennedy. 2 years ago, he downplayed talk of a possible congressional run.
I know that being a member of Congress would be a great job, but I've got a great job.
But when you're a Kennedy, you're always a prospective candidate. And after he gave a speech last year decrying partisan toxicity, the speculation intensified.
For too long, the rhetoric in Washington has been toxic. Anti-war protesters holding up signs saying, "Death to terrorist pig Bush." Tea Party protesters shouting out racist and anti-gay slurs to members of Congress.
Today, Kennedy announced that he's considering a run for the seat currently held by Barney Frank. But being a Kennedy is no guarantee of political success. Joe's Uncle Max learned that the hard way when he flirted with a congressional run back in 2001.
One party.
That nervous awkwardness doomed his campaign before it started. Of course, Joe Kennedy III isn't Max Kennedy, and as of today, he's the favorite in the race to replace Frank.
All right, and with me now are Democratic analyst Warren Tolman and Republican analyst Ann Murphy. Welcome to both of you. Well,
thanks, Emily.
I mean, is this just kind of a done deal? Is this a lock? I mean, anybody else considering getting in on the Democratic side? Are they going to make any?
Well, first off, he's in. Everything I'm hearing, he's given his notice. He's leaving his job as a district attorney. Yeah. He's got 2 weeks. He's going to finish up with some cases he has. And then, the question is, people like City Council Michael Ross, good candidate, attractive candidate, would do well under ordinary circumstances. Deb Goldberg, who's run statewide before, another good candidate. Do they stay in under this pressure from someone who, Joe Kennedy, I don't know if you've met him yet, but he's a very attractive, good person, smart, thoughtful, well-educated, obviously comes from a great family. So he's going to be a formidable candidate. The question is, if one person can get him one-on-one, they may have a shot. But if there's 3 or 4 others in a primary, in a Democratic primary, he'll be tough to beat.
Well, don't you think a couple people will hesitate to jump in
no
for
question.
that reason? I mean, even the financial guy, Bob Posen, was considering it, flirting with that a run too. But I don't think he would jump in knowing that
it becomes very, very difficult. I mean, he's going to have instant name recognition. I mean, the fact we're talking about him, we haven't, I
don't know him. I've just seen him. I don't even know him.
But as Adam said, it is royalty in Massachusetts, if not in the United States, the Kennedy name. And he's a very smart, eloquent, passionate young man. He'll do well.
I think it's really exciting. I think it's exciting for the Republicans because look at the district now. It's so totally different, and that's one of the reasons I think why Barney Frank didn't want to run for re-election. And let's not forget, it's as Scott Brown proved in his race, it's not a Kennedy seat, really. It's the people's seat, and he'll have to prove himself.
No, it's the Barney Frank seat.
It's a Barney Frank seat, but he won't be walking into it like that. I know that. But I think it's great for the Republicans. I think we're going to field some great Republican candidates, and we might even have a surprise.
You have a couple in already. Beth Childs from Brookline, I think it is.
She's from Brookline.
Is in. We had her on a few weeks ago. Sean Belat's name has been tossed around. Now, he moved out of the state, I believe, right after he lost to Barney Frank 2 years ago, but he, too, was a very attractive candidate.
And I think that he has a really good shot because he has an infrastructure. If he can revitalize that campaign infrastructure, he had a lot of people out there in the grassroots. So we have to see what Sean's going to do. But I hear there's another mystery candidate out there.
Really? Who's that?
Well, I can't say who it is. I don't know the name, but I've been told by a very highly placed Republican source that it's a woman, a former Superior Court judge, a socially moderate person.
Quick, Google that.
Who has great connections to the community, who's going to be an awesome candidate. Look for an announcement over the next couple of weeks.
Well, Joe Kennedy is clear is going to be a very strong candidate, and you know what? Assuming he gets in, Michael Ross. I mean, there's a guy who grew up in Newton, graduated from Newton North. You know, his family is the ultimate,
from Newton, yeah.
Ultimate
but
success.
Michael lives in the city.
He lives in the city, but
Boston.
Barney Frank did exactly what Michael's doing. Moved from the Back Bay Beacon Hill area, where he was a state rep, into Newton. Ran for. There's different times, I know, but so there's some parallel themes here. The question, you know, and also Newton, Brookline, Sharon, Wellesley, Needham, areas with a good percentage of Jewish voters. Michael is Jewish. His father escaped the Holocaust. God bless him. So, you know, there is a scenario, assuming that Joe Kennedy gets in, for those two to duke it out. It could be an interesting battle.
Well, I think the national focus will be now on Massachusetts again, to see if the third-gen Kennedy dynasty really will live on in Joe Kennedy.
There's no question there's going to be a great deal of attention. But as Adam pointed out, there's no guarantee. We saw when Caroline Kennedy, JFK's daughter, stepped, you know, into the race for Senate briefly in New York. That was disastrous. Max Kennedy, who's a really good guy, you know, got off to a really bad start, you know, bumbling, and it was a nothing moment, but it just killed him right off the bat because there was so much intense scrutiny on him because he was a Kennedy. That's actually what happened to both Kennedy, Caroline and Max. Yeah. So, I mean, double the effort on somebody like Joe Kennedy III.
No question. The focus will be, the glare will be excruciating for anyone else. He's been chair of his Uncle Ted's re-election effort a few years back. He grew up with it. His dad was a congressman, so he's used to this, to being around the kitchen table conversations. He's also a smart kid, and he didn't jump in, you know, a few years ago when he had some opportunities. He's waited. He's bided his time.
He's 31 now.
Yeah, he's 31, and you know, he's Harvard
so
and
young.
Stanford. He's a well-educated guy, and I, having interacted with him, he's an impressive guy. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see. He's not. I would say, you know, we can make parallels to other people in the Kennedy family, but this is one of the best of the next generation, if not the best.
You make the point, though, Ann, which is a good one, that about 350,000 new voters are in that district. So there's nothing that's a certainty for any Democrat running in that district. And Barney Frank, it wasn't just Republicans he was concerned about. He was concerned about meeting new people. He was so used to the old crowd. And now a lot of that New Bedford, Fall River, all that has been reconfigured. It's a much more contiguous district.
Well, much more suburban, I think. Republican-leaning, more Republican-leaning communities in that district now.
But let's be clear, you know, the political analysis of this seat, you know, from the national experts who rate these districts, say this is a strong Democratic seat.
Oh, it is. Brookline, Newton right there.
We're in Massachusetts. We're in Massachusetts,
That's true. It's all relative, right?
It all makes it fun for us.
Yeah.
Ann Murphy, thanks so much, and Warren Tolman, as always.
Thanks.
All right, when we continue, pity the billionaire. That's what author Thomas Frank says happened after the latest financial crisis.